Lean in for a moment, because what I'm about to share may make your stomach tighten. Right now, there are men watching this who feel that something is off in their relationship, that quiet, nagging unease that they can't explain. You can't put your finger on it, and yet deep down, it whispers to you that something isn't right. You may even feel crazy for thinking it. But stay with me, because understanding this can change the way you see your connection entirely. Imagine this. You're sitting next to her, maybe in the car, maybe on the couch. She scrolls her phone, her face calm, normal, even safe. And yet, something has shifted. It's subtle, not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet whisper that something is different. Most men are taught to ignore this feeling. Society tells you that trusting your gut makes you insecure, controlling, paranoid. But the truth is the opposite. Your intuition is your early warning system. It notices patterns before your conscious mind does. It catches the first whispers of emotional distance before words or actions change. Think about it. Emotional distance doesn't announce itself. It creeps in. It shifts slowly, almost imperceptibly through small changes in tone, timing, and attention. When a woman's emotional focus begins to drift away, her behavior may remain the same for a while. But her words, her energy, the subtle cues in her communication begin to tell a story most men fail to read until it's too late. This isn't about blame, it isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Awareness is power. Awareness protects you from investing yourself in a connection that no longer chooses you. And the first signal, the word that almost every man misinterprets, is simple: busy. But before we dive into it, understand this. One word isn't the issue, it's the pattern behind it. Emotional attention is finite. There is only so much energy a person can give in a day. When that energy starts moving elsewhere, availability changes first. Conversations feel shorter, replies slower, plans harder to make, and the word busy becomes the safe, socially acceptable explanation for a growing gap. Notice how this works. When someone is fully invested in you, they make time. They send quick messages. They find ways to connect, even in small minutes. But when emotional investment drifts, time becomes expensive and busyness becomes the buffer. What feels innocent on the surface masks a shift underneath, a subtle withdrawal of attention and care. This is the quiet moment men rarely talk about, the moment when your gut whispers that something is off and you convince yourself it's nothing. But awareness changes everything, because once you learn to read these signs, you will never ignore them again.
The second stage isn't about one word, one moment, or one action. It's about the slow, almost invisible shift in emotional focus, a drift that begins quietly but grows stronger every day. You see, when someone starts investing their heart elsewhere, it doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It creeps in through small, almost harmless behaviors. And the word you need to watch now is friend. At first, it seems innocent. He's just a friend. We're just friends. Safe, harmless, nothing to worry about. Your mind relaxes because you don't want to appear jealous or controlling. You want to trust her, and that's natural. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Emotional connections rarely begin with obvious romance. They begin with comfort, shared understanding, laughter, and trust. They begin as friendship. Think about it. Every bond starts with safety. People gravitate towards someone who listens, who understands, who validates their emotions. And when emotional energy flows to someone new, it cannot flow to you at the same time. There's a limit. Your attention, your closeness, your emotional presence becomes diluted. You might notice him mentioned more often in casual conversation. You might feel subtle comparisons creeping in, almost imperceptible. Your intuition whispers again, something has shifted. The danger here is not malice. She might genuinely see this connection as harmless, innocent even, but emotional intimacy is the foundation of romantic attraction. When it grows elsewhere, it inevitably diminishes with you, and you feel it, the subtle cooling of attention, the small walls appearing where openness used to be. Your instinct tells you something is off, but the pattern is gradual. That's why it's so easy to dismiss, so easy to rationalize away. And here comes the next layer, the word space. Few words feel more rational, more reasonable, more emotionally intelligent. I just need some space. I need time to think. I need to focus on myself. Again, in isolation, this sounds healthy. Independence is important. Growth is essential. Everyone needs breathing room. But psychology is about patterns, and timing is everything. When emotional closeness is intact, space is temporary, paired with reassurance. I love you, I just need to recharge. But when emotional loyalty is already drifting, space feels different, colder, indefinite, undefined. And that is where confusion takes hold. You don't know whether to step forward or step back. You freeze, and every second of hesitation lets distance grow. Here's why. The brain seeks to reduce conflict. When a person starts investing emotionally elsewhere, tension arises between their current relationship and the new connection forming subtly in the background. Instead of confronting it, the mind creates distance. Space becomes a buffer zone, a safe way to step back emotionally without stepping away entirely. From inside her perspective, it feels logical, self-care, reflection, clarity. But from your perspective, the emotional temperature drops, conversations shrink, plans lose detail, affection feels muted. You feel paused in a connection that used to feel alive. And now the word stress enters the narrative. I'm so stressed. I have so much on my mind. I'm overwhelmed. This is not inherently bad. Life is stressful. Work is demanding. But notice the shift. She used to lean on you when life became heavy. Now stress pushes her away. And this is psychologically significant. In a strong emotional bond, your partner becomes your refuge. Life's pressures draw you together. When emotional attention shifts elsewhere, stress is redirected, and you feel the difference. Your natural reaction might be to try harder, more understanding, more patience, more presence. But here's the truth. Emotional distance caused by redirected attention cannot be corrected by effort alone. Desire and emotional connection cannot be manufactured through increased investment. They require genuine, mutual choice. And when that choice is no longer aligned, every attempt to reclaim closeness can feel forced, one-sided, exhausting, and ultimately unfulfilling. Finally, we reach the subtle but devastating word, change. I've changed. Things have changed. I feel different now. This is not about habits or routines, it's about identity. Emotional drift begins to reshape the person you thought you knew. The version of her who existed fully in this connection slowly fades, and you can feel it before you understand it. Laughter isn't the same. Excitement isn't the same. Warmth isn't the same. This is the quiet heartbreak, the invisible erosion of what once felt mutual, effortless, and natural. Men often ask themselves painful questions at this stage. What did I do wrong? Was I not enough? Could I have prevented this? Listen closely. Emotional distance rarely results from a single failure. It's the accumulation of small shifts, patterns of attention, energy, and focus migrating elsewhere. Relationships survive on mutual emotional choice. When that choice fades, no amount of effort, patience, or reasoning can force it back. So awareness is everything. Do not obsess over individual words. Do not overanalyze single conversations. Look at patterns, consistency, and timing. Recognize emotional reciprocity. Protect your self-respect. Your value does not come from chasing someone who is gradually walking away emotionally. Your value comes from understanding when the connection is no longer mutual and choosing yourself with the same energy you once gave. The right relationship doesn't require you to constantly guess, bend, or stretch. It doesn't leave you questioning your own worth. Emotional closeness is chosen, nurtured, and maintained mutually. And when it is absent, clarity, not fear, must guide you. Because understanding these signals, busy, friend, space, stress, change, doesn't make you insecure. It makes you aware. It makes you strong. It allows you to protect your emotional energy, make informed choices, and step into relationships that honor the effort, attention, and presence you bring. Emotional awareness is the most powerful tool a man can wield, and once you begin seeing the patterns, you can no longer ignore them, because truth, even subtle, always surfaces. This is where calm, deliberate observation becomes your ally, and once you see these signs clearly, the path forward, whether to repair, redirect, or release, becomes unambiguous. This is emotional intelligence at its highest level, and it will change how you move through relationships forever.
The final phase is not about words or actions or even specific behaviors. It is about identity and emotional sovereignty. It is about understanding that when emotional investment fades, it is no longer a question of what you do. It is about who she is becoming in relation to you. Think back to the subtle shifts you've noticed, the busyness, the increasing mentions of someone else, the space that feels indefinite, the stress that pushes her away. Those were patterns, hints, a trail leading you to this moment. And now the word that surfaces, softly, almost casually, is change. I've changed. Things have changed. I feel different. It seems harmless, even natural, but psychology reveals the truth underneath. Emotional drift is now identity drift. The version of her that existed in this relationship, the one who laughed with you, leaned on you, prioritized your connection, is quietly being replaced by someone whose emotional energy is elsewhere. She is still present physically, perhaps still polite, perhaps even affectionate at times, but the core alignment of hearts and attention has shifted. This is the quiet heartbreak that men rarely articulate. It is not the fights, the arguments, or the betrayal that breaks the connection first. It is the gradual erosion of mutual emotional choice. A relationship survives on two people choosing each other every single day. When that choice fades, no effort, no words, no gestures can fully restore it. You can try to chase closeness, but desire cannot be summoned through effort alone. Emotional presence is not a contract, it is a choice. Here is what most men overlook. At this stage, your response determines everything. Not her words, not her actions, not her distance. Your clarity, your self-respect, your calm assessment of the truth is the ultimate measure of your strength. This is the moment to step back with awareness, not anger, to see the patterns clearly, acknowledge the drift, and refuse to compromise your value in the hope of reclaiming something that no longer exists. Psychologically, this is the point where many men spiral. They blame themselves, they overanalyze, they try harder. But understand this. Emotional drift is rarely caused by a single failure. It is the cumulative result of attention, energy, and focus slowly moving elsewhere. The relationship doesn't collapse in a day, it erodes in moments, imperceptible until identity begins to shift. The final truth is empowering if you allow yourself to see it. You cannot control someone else's emotional choice. You cannot force emotional excitement or novelty, but you can control your response, your awareness, and your presence in your own life. You can choose clarity over confusion, self-respect over desperation, truth over rationalization. When you internalize this, something rare happens. You no longer chase validation. You no longer compromise your emotional energy for a connection that isn't mutual. You recognize that true relationships are built on reciprocity, clarity, and mutual emotional investment. Anything less is not worth sacrificing yourself for. And here is the final lesson. The right connection will never make you feel invisible. It will never make you question your worth daily. It will reflect back your energy, attention, and presence equally. Emotional loyalty is chosen, nurtured, and maintained. And when it's absent, the only true path forward is awareness, detachment, and self-respect. Because identity drift is invisible to many, but not to you. Once you learn to read the patterns, once you learn to recognize the signs, you can protect yourself from investing where your attention is no longer honored. You step into a new level of emotional intelligence, a level where calm observation, deliberate choice, and inner sovereignty become your most powerful tools. So take this knowledge, internalize it, and allow it to guide how you move through relationships. Step forward with awareness, step back with strength. Protect your energy, choose yourself. Because the deepest form of attraction, the kind that endures, begins with a man who understands his own worth and refuses to surrender it for uncertainty. And when you do this, truly embody it, you transform every connection you have, not through force, not through manipulation, but through presence, clarity, and unwavering self-respect. The right relationship will never make you feel like you are slowly disappearing.
And now you know how to see it before it happens.